issues with the internet.
Oh, okay, so maybe it's just not
Cool.
connected.
I do. Just shake it.
What?
Cool.
Yeah, it says I can't connect.
I'm a cool shark.
Yeah.
She was.
Or my phone, yes, it's saying you can't connect to this network, so
that is.
So I don't think anyone needs to see the attachments. You guys have them all, so. Yeah.
It's possible that Nick's gonna try and join via Zoom.
Okay.
I know that Jeff was not planning to attend.
I think we're all here.
Percentage of those 50%,
Right.
right?
Yeah, he commented on what be in favor of it, and he said, well, unfortunately, if you are not in attendance, it doesn't.
Well, won't you be surprised when it's you who suggests it?
And then we'll say, supported by.
Double agent.
I'm so jealous of people that are on this tenure, but it's okay.
This is fine.
I always stays like, oh, we need a little ice.
We need moisture.
Be nice.
When you really want snow.
We need no ice.
Yeah.
No,
We need ice.
It's cold.
Take it out like this.
Right.
right?
I don't know, there's some guys out there fishing in the night growth today, and I'm like, what are you?
I know.
doing?
Today.
There's
Past
Burning.
There's no way. That's like,
It's awful.
The Chippewa River mouth as I drive up from Lake City, where the Chippewa River comes into Mississippi, they're like right on the edge.
Yeah.
Right there, I'm like, you guys are crazy.
We've already had one.
What was it, Saturday?
Oh, really?
See the
Red light?
holes that they were drilling and the water coming up the holes, because there was water all over.
You just think.
Meaning the ice is sinking and the water is going, like, no, get on.
We gotta test that air balloon.
I was just saying they wanted us to.
Well, that's fine.
We don't have.
No, they just go to the slough for their.
Yeah, one guy said, oh, there's a good solid 3 inches, and I'm like,
No,
no way, this is solid.
especially back there.
I don't know if I use the word solid. But they were catching fish, so they were out there,
So they're happy. Even if they get wet.
yeah.
Oh, don't know.
Yeah, the internet's not working. Okay,
Mine's working.
all right.
All right. We almost, yeah, over here. It's packing my list to work here.
Yeah, this is a special meeting, thinking one item,
But
that's what it should be.
I actually had to read this.
I was like,
All the
Full
meeting things happen. You could do the 31st if you wanted to.
well, I've done that before.
Oh, yeah.
All right, it's 6 o'clock. I'll call us to order for the Dr. Lee Kaufman special meeting for December 19th. And.
Oh, yeah, I thought you did.
Sorry, I can see you moving that, like you're talking, Caroline, just ignore here. All right, I'll call us to order for this special meeting of the Wabash City Council for December 19th. We have a consent agenda, including updates to the personnel policy related to sick and safe leave. Our resolution to support the Wabash Kellogg Trail Grant, which has had some swimming progress actually lately. And then the dog fencing purchase, which is subsidized by Landon Foundation funding and Wabash Kellogg Area Community Foundation. You have a motion to approve consent.
So. Second.
Okay, great. Jean. All right. I heard Tim with the first, Jean with the second. Any further discussion? All those in favor say aye.
I,
Opposed, same sign. Just a teeny little bit of extra information that joint powers is going well. Everybody's committed to the financial piece. There's a lot of enthusiasm for fundraising. Sue McDowell in collaboration with Terra Tennis has got a Facebook group up and running, so there's been like quick along, and Dietrich is on target to write the first grant, which will be due in January 12th. And we're helping to solicit all the letters of support that we've had in place for another grant. Yeah,
I know there's good information out there that's put out on Facebook.
Yeah,
that
yeah,
There's a lot
very.
of
people that would come.
Put the trail map, they put the map up, so people can understand it's a phased approach, the first phase is the bridge, you know. But I've heard people talking about it just around town, so that's great.
Susie's good at creating a buzz.
She is very excited, yeah. Do you know what everybody is?
Yep.
All right, under general business, we have truth and taxation, we'll have our hearing, and then we would need to approve the 2024 budget levy. So is there anybody online?
There is one person online.
Just give 1 minute. We're gonna open the hearing for public comment for truth and taxation. If you'd like to make comment, you can do so. We can hear you. If we can't hear you, please try to chat into the chat function. And we'll see what we can do about that. Go ahead and, if anybody has public comment, share it with council now. And it's not Dean.
No,
Doesn't have any.
no, it's just a string of letters.
All right, well, we'll see if there's anybody else who joins. It's just 2 after the hour here. Call for any public comment. Again, if you've never done that before, go down at the bottom of your Zoom screen, there is the ability to unmute yourself with a microphone. And you can speak to council, and if that doesn't work, you can use the chat function. We'll call one more time for any public comment in our hearing. And then we close the hearing, right, before we?
Yep.
Yeah, all right, so we'll close the hearing at 6:03. And then before council, you have the final budget levy. You have a resolution to adopt that.
Move to adopt.
Very good.
I'll second.
We have a motion from John, a second from Tim for the full levy of $2,544,995. Any further discussion? All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed, same sign.
And all the materials are available at watershot.org/budget, and I keep copies of the audit there, so if we have a constituent that wants to learn more, everything's available all the time online.
Awesome. Then item general business 2, we have the William H. Bonney subdivision minor plat. Do you want anybody, is anybody wishing to speak to that? Do you want to talk about it all?
Well, we had it planning and it's really kind of an odd property and there's gonna be some easements and we had to try to figure out what was considered frontage and just to kind of approve this. And so it's just kind of, I don't know, it's just gonna help designate some of the land that's around there. So there wasn't anything more than that I.
And there's frontages, so each has frontage. Well, there's an easement.
So there's an easement, but the frontage, we're gonna go off of 61. Even though no access to 61 comes from that, which is
Oh,
what
okay.
prompted our review of the language for planning commission, we're looking in January, so this is kind of ease some of those. I mean, it's just an odd 3 properties, and there's easements involved and there was no frontage and stuff, so. That's basically all I remember about it, so. But
But it meets the
no,
standards for the zoning according to Christie.
yeah, there's no utilities issues, no structures issue, it's just kind of replotting it, we can ignore standards.
Staff recommendation is that it's compliant and suggests that prior to signing a final plat, owner must provide a letter from an SSTS to the consultant to the city of Watershed that the proposed lot has adequate space for future well and septic. We have a motion.
Also moved.
We have a motion to approve. We have a second.
Second.
Any further discussion on this item? All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed, same sign. Okay, and so this is pretty fun. So I know John been keeping track quite closely. I know Jeff has been, but for everybody else's consideration, it's just moving along. Again, really a great deal of thanks to the CETA staff that have been leading us through this process. We've had how many tours? We had the housing summit tour.
Goodness.
We had the Keller Barton tour, we had the Ben Graham tour. We had Rebound here with Jamie Judish, and we had Jamie and Judish here separately. We have another one scheduled for the 31st, Thursday, and then also the 31st.
That's on the thing.
Or was that not one? I remember I was telling you I couldn't be there for that one. So maybe that one happened. Anyway, 6 developer tours in a very short period of time, lots of interest in the Grandpa's Barn, what I'm on the Second Street site, because it's really the whole, it's Grandpa's Barn, food share, and the parking lot. Everybody seems to be kind of conceptualizing the same thing, which is multi-story, multi-family, multi-generational housing. We've sort of kind of asked them what their thoughts are, they've asked us what our thoughts are. Our food share, I'm staring for food, our housing committee was tasked with kind of maybe deciding whether we wanted senior housing or family housing. I just said, I just don't want to choose. I want both. And so it seems like that's compatible with our developers' interest because we have people who are really interested in family housing, the Three Rivers type of developers. And then we have these developers who are experienced putting these multi-generational buildings in downtowns like kind of Island, Zumbrota, where's the other one that's kind of similar size to Waukesha. And what they're finding is that it just self-selects to be about 60% seniors. So there's a good number of people, especially women, who want to live in these buildings and kind of tell their friends and recruit to about 60%, and then the other 40% is mixed. Parking issue is being considered by all the developers. Some want to go underground, some want to go only partially underground. I think that's where the kind of the cost piece factors out. And I think that's kind of what stopped discussions in their tracks some years ago. But nobody seems to really be deterred by it. There are important tools in place at the state level, grants that can cover a significant portion of construction costs, redevelopment tips, things like that, that are on the table. So I think we realize we've done our homework, we're not clear what we would want for the land, et cetera, but we are willing partners and we're wanting housing, we're wanting to do the work, we've done the work in the community. So everybody's been really a delight to tour around. And then we've showed them, despite their interest primarily on that site, we've showed them the other city-owned sites just for their awareness, because the developers interested in tiny homes on the East Main Street property said, first her Rolodex and other developers is very deep. And so she's thinking about the other properties that she's not much interested in and who would be a good fit for those. So it's been kind of a whirlwind, but I think it's led us to realize we can't sit out there with this kind of murky letter of interest thing for too long, because these folks are wanting to act and potentially make good on grant deadlines that will be here at the beginning of the year. So I'm glad Caroline's game, we'll see what comes of it. I think Kathy's attitude is really a good one. If we're not super competitive this year, it will be a very, very big step to apply and put ourselves in a good position for next year. So these first few years are going to be the years where there's the most housing funding available, but there will be continuous housing funding as a state. So it's been quite the education, and very glad Caroline for the background. Anything else you wanted to share about?
Yeah, I have a couple things. One, I was afraid the project was doing when we said the words shoreline overlay. But the language we've added to the RFP was what Brian and Christie provided, which is a submittal to the Minnesota DNR for comments and recommendations for the shoreline overlay says that we could only do an 18,000 square foot building, and people are talking about a 30 to 40,000 square foot building. And I can say, just like an 18,000 square foot building, the numbers aren't gonna work on that to give them profits needed to cash flow. And so then they said, Christy and Brian said, it also says that it has to be mixed use. And initial feedback that we've gotten is people are envisioning only housing. Christy said you could say that the property management office makes it mixed use, or have like something that's community owned on the main floor. So she wasn't too worried about that. But then we would have to submit to the Minnesota DNR for comments, and that we would have to talk about on-site stormwater treatment best management practices to reduce runoff rate and volume and providing water quality treatment. So we were gonna argue the entire thing is cement right now. There's no water runoff. So they would be required to put in some stormwater practices. So we're gonna just argue to the DNR for a variance. So they were comfortable with that.
And they're gonna want to do that anyway. That's good property management.
Yeah.
When
Just to clarify on that 18,000 square foot is the building footprint.
Footprint.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
I misinterpreted that.
Yeah,
Okay.
it's just the footprint.
Yeah, so I think that's fine. And if it needs to be larger, we would again argue for that. And then, two things I wanted to cover with you guys. One is what I had proposed, and I wanted feedback, is me and Tyler talked to Mike Bufani, and he's like, this is a great project for TIF. Because if they need that, because it's a redevelopment, so no income restrictions would need to be applied. But the assessed value of the property is $230,500. So I've seen that sometimes people need to write down the land and make the project feasible. So, hi Dean. So I wrote in here and I wanted feedback. The city is open to accepting proposals for basically a loan to be paid back or a direct purchase of the property. So if you need an incentive, we want to get paid back someday for the value of the land, whether it be in 2 to 10 years or when you resell it. But otherwise, like, or, you know, propose to pay us for the property versus I know some cities have sold land for $1, but what I learned in La Crosse is sometimes it works just as well to say, we'll be a partner, we'll go behind the first mortgage and, you know, pay us back someday. But what you do want to avoid is developer does all the work and sells it and they get paid back and you're not like a partner in it.
Yeah, to be in
So-
position, second position.
So that's one recommendation I had, and then something Kathy did not have was asking them to see a basic budget of, here's my estimated cost for the project and the different categories, and here is the funding I plan to line up, here's my first mortgage and the incentives I'm looking from the city. I think every good developer is gonna be able to come up with those numbers, and that
Already doing that
can
in their head.
that could weed out anyone that's not super serious, that doesn't wanna spend time on crunching numbers on the project. So what I did was, we really want people to pursue this workforce housing grant, which is grant money from the state just for cities our size. So I used, a worksheet template that they had online, and I just adopted it as our say, come up with your own or use this template, and we are rushing it somewhat through to pick our developer, because if people wanna go for that, we would need to adopt a resolution in like February, saying who our developer partner is and support that, plus work through TIF. So it might not happen, but
But we're motivated and they seem motivated because the grant's really important to their
Yeah.
financial stack, so, you know, that's
yep,
not
So-
tomorrow.
yeah. The other thing that came up is right now the food shelf lease agreement ends in the end of December 2025. And I got feedback, if we got this workforce housing grant from the state, they would need to be ready to start construction in the summer of 2025. So is there appetite to, we can get out of our lease for the food shelf with a 6-month notice. So my thought is, we don't even know the pieces, so we'll just keep moving along and cross that bridge when we get there. The other comment that I got so far as I've talked about it is people are concerned about the commuter parking going away and library parking and stuff like that. I think the good news is they're all committed to having parking for their residents. So one person said, oh, no problem, we'll give you all the parking you want. And then the other one that seemed the more serious proposal said, I need all the parking that I can get for all the people that are gonna live there. So
Everybody has a little different formula, where there's one parking stall per unit, one parking stall per bedroom. The other developers said they're kind of a 1.1 parking stalls per unit, because there are couples that still want to make two vehicles, and then there are people who end up living there and thinking, I don't need a car at all, because my neighbor's got a car and I live in downtown, so
What does our ordinance say as far as the?
one. So
One.
nobody's below that, yeah, everybody's
per unit.
in excess.
Within 1,000 feet,
So do we wanna put in the RFP?
What was that, John?
within 1,000 feet.
I was wondering, do you wanna put an extra requirement in the RFP saying you must provide at least five public parking spots, or just leave it alone and just see?
Leave it alone.
I think they're all saying they wanna do that anyway for visitors, that they don't want people to feel like they can't have somebody come over with mobility issues and have to, you know, walk through blocks. So it seems like it's in everybody's plan, to have some level of visitor parking. I've never been to a building that didn't have a couple spots, so.
Yeah, I don't think it's gonna be a problem. I really don't.
With regard to the food share, I want everybody to know this. I was in the chamber too, although they've just kind of started to materialize that lease. The food share is very important and increasingly needed by the community. We serve more broadly than the city of Waukesha. We serve anybody who comes from the community. That's the mission of a food share that takes public assistance. So we take federal dollars, and that's what we do. They do a remarkable job of it, and because they're so good at it, we see lots of people commuting into our community to utilize the food share. So it is both our community and the broader community's need being met. To that degree, they're exceeding their space needs. So they could really use a couple more freezers. And so I think the time is right to say, here's kind of our best case scenario timeline for us to get that site redeveloped. What does that make you think about? You know, just allow them to consider that. When we talk about it in housing, you know, Dave Woodley brought up that the common closet is the backstop for space. At times they wanted to take on furniture. There has been a discussion about co-locating those. There is now a vacancy in the middle school that
Yeah,
has garage entrance. You know, I think what I've learned being a volunteer there, and I've urged anybody who just wants to see what it's like to come in when there's a delivery coming, is that the food share really to function well, it needs to have a garage door. I don't know how they did it all those years in the hospital. They didn't have one. They didn't have one.
It's totally
It's
changed now.
crazy. When the truck comes, I mean, it's just a huge, I mean, people sitting there waiting to get into the food share are helping to load and unload.
it is,
because
and you were right, it is small inside.
It's darling.
It's
just
hard,
a little
tight.
Small, yeah.
Yeah.
But it was a very important kind of a rescue move that they needed,
Right,
and
yeah.
I think, nobody could have perceived the, you know, how much the growth in demand would be, so.
And I think they could definitely find a spot, with Jim and Paul Bush, here at the middle school.
They need a plan, because they're accustomed to know these,
Yeah.
cost, and
We
so,
just called it middle school, by the way.
yeah. Anyway, I just wanted everybody in council to know that, because it's obviously a very important part of our community. The chamber too, you know, I don't really know what their long-term plans are, I haven't met with the board to see, like, there was some looking for storage, that should bring that to their attention, that, you know, these deadlines would be summer of 2025.
And the other thing I will say is there's a lot of flexibilities that built into this. If we don't get enough proposals, we can say, let's put this out there in another 6 months, we think we'll get interest, but. And then, you know, if we don't get proposals we like, we can cancel it, but, oh, that was the last thing is, do you all want to cede authority to the Port Authority to select the developer, given that Jeff and John are part of that, or do you all want to have one more of you be on a selection committee?
I'm okay with Port Authority, I hate developers.
Well, I'm not taking you on any tours then.
I've-
You're not gonna invite one council.
I've gone through so many developers, I
Yeah,
don't wanna deal with it.
Okay, anyone else? Everyone else good with that? Okay, so what we'll do is tell Port Authority, you select them. And this will come back like on a consent agenda, or we'll just explain why we made the choice we did, so. Okay.
it's been exciting. I mean, it just to hear them saying, well, this is a great community and this is a great site, and they don't seem to have any qualms about it as they look at it. Now they've just gotta make the financials.
And most people are saying 3 to 4 stories and 30 to 40 units. So.
I was saying,
anyone-
before you came in, Kathy wanted us to decide, before we started doing developer tours, what's a priority, senior housing or family house? I said, I just can't do that, it's both, it's just both.
Yeah,
And Three Rivers made it so clear that their niche is family, and they've done a beautiful job of that in Lake City, so we continue to pursue them, we're trying to figure out ways to work with them. But all developers we've toured here have said they don't like to restrict, which actually was in line with our housing study, but they're finding it's by self-selection in communities like Watershot, Pine Islands, and Broad. It's like 60% seniors and 40% mixed, and that seems to be, and you know, younger seniors too. He said, a lot of times it's a group of women who want to get rid of their homes or downsize, and then they kind of all decide to move to apartments.
Yeah. you can see that right in Lake City
Yeah,
and Ellsworth and all these small cities.
yeah, so that, I was happy to hear that we don't have to choose, because
Right.
I want the flexibility too, you know, the thing is, you want some people to age in place, but if they're 50 when they move in and they want to stay there, you know,
Right.
and it's, yeah.
And I don't think that's the city's position anyway.
No, yeah.
To get involved in that.
And we were given the feedback through the housing city that most of the developers who do senior buildings would find this a limited market for that.
Yeah.
They'd be worried about that.
Exactly.
All right, so you just wanted us to give guidance on that, we don't need to take action.
I think because it's our property, looking for you to approve it. And I think if Mike Clary were here, we are required to do a competitive request for proposals if you're gonna give away city-owned land at potentially a discount. So that's the idea, is we put out a proposal, say the parameters, and this is our competitive market process.
I move to publish the RFP.
I'll second.
Great, we have a motion from John, second from Brian, any further discussion? All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed, same sign. Great. I didn't see this come together by the end of the year, but we just, got enough positive feedback.
It's crazy.
Yeah, well, these tools, I mean, Nicole's, the yard homes, developer. She came to a meeting, a block meeting, and kind of educated us on the number of which rules are being put in place in the state money. It is an exciting time to be working on this, it's really.
Yeah,
All right, and then I got an update on, staffing related to governance and residents.
Okay,
You want me to go?
come on up, Ryan. I'll let you fill in the details, but Tim also knows about this. We previewed it, but, as we are hiring next year's paramedic, I actually had St. Elizabeth's and Tom, you know, or Jim and Tom, who did our analysis, come to me and say, we really continue wanna focus to see Wabasha have capacity to take our transfers and it benefits us all. So we were brainstorming and we came up with sort of an innovative idea that Tom has seen work in other locations, which is where it would be a city, well, we kind of thought of this, but the city of Wabasha would carry the paramedic position, but in their quote unquote downtime, they would be in the St. Elizabeth's ER. And we would have a future contractual agreement where St. Elizabeth's would pay the city of Wabasha for time for that person to be there.
Yeah, so it kind of does a lot of things. I'm thinking long-term, like how can we best utilize the staff that we have and benefit the most people? There's things out there for like future long-term growth when you think about, like community paramedic stuff. You know, that's, the hospital has big metrics about people with readmissions, and, you know, that's something that isn't a right now thing, but thinking long-term, you know, but getting that partnership with the hospital and being able to work with them, it benefits, you know, being a smaller service benefits our paramedics to be able to continue to grow their skills, through the Gunderson's, education that they require for their staff. It gives us, access for some advanced level, training that right now we can't really give to our staff just because of our capacity without going out for all of that training. Gives us a chance to work together as a team collaborate that way. And then helps them out too when they get big surges, to be able to, you know, come in and help them with what they may need in their ER and,
So the model has been successful within the Gunderson systems, or another system where the hospital owns the ambulance. It has never been before tried, I think, for a city and a hospital to partner. So we would be the first experimenting with this, but it has been helpful that Tom over there in Gunderson, La Crosse has seen it operationalized. They have a sample agreement and things. And Tim, was that?
Tom Crowley.
No.
Oh, Tom.
We
Okay.
did our ambulance visits.
Oh, no, Tom Crowley, that makes sense, yeah.
Yeah, I think, the ambulance commission, I think we supported it. I think there is certain guidelines or parameters that we need to iron out with St. Elizabeth's. But I'm hopeful and also education can be handled by St. Elizabeth's for our paramedics, just because they have a little bit higher continuing ed that's needed than the EMT. So I think it's worth exploring. I think it helps out our paramedics in the long run more than probably helps out St. Elizabeth's, but.
Is there any downside to this?
Well, I don't know if there is, but I mean, I could see maybe that if they all of a sudden get busy and the paramedic gets phased out, does the paramedic just drop everything? Well,
Obviously, I don't.
I would agree, but that's not probably what St. Elizabeth's would say in ED, but that's why I think there's still a few parameters
Some
that
of
got
the-
ironed out, but.
Questions was, you know, are they gonna consider this a part of their staffing minimums? And it is determined right now that at this point, it wouldn't be part of their absolute minimum people, it'd be kind of an extra support person. But again, with my administrator hat, it's like, well, I wanna make sure they get enough hours that they're comfortable and people know and trust them. Like if they're never working and all of a sudden, like you're helping, then you can kind of be in the way because you don't know.
But they do that all the time in the ER, they have
Okay.
providers everywhere,
Okay.
they've got so many physicians.
yeah, we've all,
in the ER, yeah.
we've,
Okay, you guys.
Yeah, I don't think it's,
That's very-
Okay,
yeah, I'm not worried
And
about
then-
that. And I think the continuity of care will too, because we could actually have the paramedic bring the person in.
okay,
Maybe take care of them and then ship them all at the same time, and you know the whole
Yeah.
history.
Right.
So it's a benefit both for the patient and everybody. So,
we'll have to work out a billing system. I think they're gonna propose what they wanna pay us. They said, we'll have to pay you fair market value. What was other concerns that got brought up?
Well, are they gonna focus on just the ER or can they help out on the floor, the med surg floor? You know, I think then you're getting a little, I don't know.
So what about like, you know, work comp, needle sticks, all that kind of stuff? If-
That's what I'm saying, there's.
You know,
Yeah,
That
training.
is outlined in this, so the other good thing is they have a sample contract. They're gonna do us a favor and take it through their huge legal team at
All right.
Gunderson, and then I will take it to Mike Flaherty after they've given me the draft, so we're gonna let the attorneys think about that. I don't know, probably it would have to be our workman's comp.
I think this is a great idea.
Totally, and we've talked about this for a long time, so I'm glad to hear it's this close.
As one that uses it often, I like it.
Well, and I wasn't surprised, but when the stroke team came down to evaluate to see what all would be a full stroke protocol, they were so complimentary to the already existing collaboration, the fact that the city is at the table, that the education is so high quality. I mean, it's, the current group is exceeding people's expectations, so it's not like you're trying to solve a difficult problem with groups that aren't working well together, the groups are working well together, so.
And finally, we thought it important not just to throw this brand new employee into a situation that we haven't ever done. So Ryan is gonna spend some time working as a paramedic over there to work out kinks in advance. And then we'll bring them in. Our goal with bringing you this early, even though I don't have like an official agreement, was to be able to get permission to talk about it in the job description. And we went back and forth, like, should we talk about this or not? It's so tentative, so, but then I think in the end, we concluded, we wanna attract the candidate who's excited to have a dual position, so.
I think it broadens our opportunity for recruitment as well, so anyway, yeah, I'm all, do we need to approve this or something?
Nope, it was an update only.
Awesome. What a nice way to end the year. This is great. Thank you guys.
Good job.
Busy, unexpected last dash of important work. Anything further? All right, good, a motion to adjourn.
So move, second.
Thank you, Tim. Thank you, Dean. All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Most of the time.
So we don't-
Not today, everybody.
What about paying bills? We only do that in the.
They're done. We
We
approved
did
that
it?
to approve.
Yeah, we changed that
Okay,
a couple years ago.
Thank you for the.
never mind.
Thank you for thinking, yeah, so.